everyone, it's Keren here. Welcome back to my channel. Recently I did a video about what is art journaling. I truly thought I had a video like that already on my channel, but what I had on my channel is a video explaining why I do art journaling, but not specifically what is art journaling. So if you haven't watched that video, I encourage you to watch that even after this video, just because it will give you a little bit of more of an insight of what is art journaling. This video today is specifically on the top common mistakes that people do when art journaling. And these are mistakes in quotation marks, because they're not really mistakes. There's no such thing as mistakes in art journaling or in art in general. These are the top common mistakes that most people don't even realize they do. So let me show you what I mean. Let's get started. One of the most common mistakes is that people think they have to fill the whole art journal book. Some of these books come with a lot of pages. So it's basically unrealistic that you'll be able to fill the whole book. As you're filling the book, you realize that it might take you a long time to do that. And especially if you're like me, that you use really thick mediums, what ends up happening is that the book eventually becomes kind of like an accordion because it's so thick. So truthfully, I've never filled a book. I have quite a few different ones, and another reason why it's unrealistic is because most of the times, first of all, other books come out and you end up wanting to buy them. And also, I like working on different backgrounds and different sizes, so I have quite a few journals. So although I do a lot of art journaling, I don't end up filling up the book as much as I think I will. And the misconception is that you have to, and it's not true. You don't have to finish a book. It's okay to just have a few pages, even if they're gorgeous pages, just have those. It's better than nothing. And I just love my books, and I go through them and I look through them and I love looking at all the different things, and that's good enough. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to fill a book. The second mistake, most common mistake people make is that, like me, they tend to add too many thick products on a page. And definitely this is one of the mistakes I commonly do. So I've learned that for me, the best journals are the Joggles disc-bound journals, because you can add as many thick things as you want and it will not bunch up. It will not become an accordion. I don't know if you recently watched my video on the different types of art journals, but as you can see, this is a really full and thick art journal. Every single page has a lot of very 3D mediums. And you won't believe, but this one is actually came out of this one. This is how it looked beforehand. It was so thick that I couldn't actually close it. So I had to cut a piece out of it that I was going to create my own cover for. So what I mean is that if you are the type of art journaler that uses very thick mediums, that doesn't only stamp or draw or use 2D mediums, if you're using those 3D mediums like I do, then make sure that you buy yourself the right art journal. For me, that is the Joggles one, because there's so much space in between, and once I'm done with it, I can start a new journal. And even then, I haven't even finished this one fully as well yet. The point is that you have to find the right art journal for you. And although I still use some of these bound art journals, it is really important to find the one that will be most beneficial to you. One or two, or as many as you can find. So if you haven't watched that video on all the art journal differences, then and all the art journal books, that's a really good thing for you to watch at the end of this video. The third misconception, I think a lot of people have this, is that they think that every single page has to be amazing. That is the worst thing that anybody can ever think. And let me just give you an example. You see this page? Does that look amazing to you? No, this is not amazing. It is a big blob of nothing. I was testing something, I was experimenting with something, and as you can see, I was experimenting here with different mediums. So I just put this down, and I haven't either finished it or just I don't know. I'm not always happy with every page that I make. I love this one, but it ripped and I don't care. Not every page has to be amazing. Like, not everything. This is your own art, so you can test and experiment and do what you want with it. It's not always going to be amazing. Some of it's going to be okay, and some of it is not. You see, look at this page. It was nothing. I mean, it was basically like leftover paints from different experiments, or this one. And it's ugly, and I don't think I finished it, but it doesn't really matter. It just sits there because I just experimented with it. So not every page has to be amazing. Another one that I have a really hard time with, I have a really, really hard time with this one because I don't know how to do it. But actually, I heard a podcast recently with Dina Wakley, and she said that she does this a lot. And that is to leave white space. I have a really hard time leaving white space. As you can see in my journals, most of the pages are basically full. There is a little bit of white space here, but most of the pages are colored all the way through. There's not like the white space of it being white. There is definitely white space in the sense that there is stuff missing here, but not in the sense of white space of actually no texture, nothing there. There's still texture here, there's still color. And I know white space is relative because some people either love it or don't love it, because I don't want to say hate it. I don't hate white space. I just never find that, like, it's really hard for me to do white space. As you can see, like, everything has to be kind of filled. I never find, and I just like them full like this. But that's something that you don't have to do. The misconception is that you should not have white space or have white space. There is not really a rule for that. There's no rules. That's the main thing. There's no rules. One of the most common mistakes that people do is not sealing the middle here, especially for bound books. That is so important. Whether you use masking tape or washi tape, you don't want things to leak in between. If you're like me, that you're using mediums, then that's a really important thing to do. Now, if you're putting the tape, you can always cover the page with white gesso, and that will be just part of the texture. If you're just drawing, then you don't need to do this. But if you're using sprays, like even Diane Reevely uses like Dylusion sprays and paints, and she seals her pages. And I'm not sure if she seals the pages or not, but if you're using stuff that's going to seep through, it's really important. One of the most common mistakes, and if you forget, is that it ends up seeping through to another page. So it's really important to kind of do that. You see here is a perfect example. I didn't seal this page, or I didn't seal the one before it, and it seeped through. And that's okay. It's part of the design now. But if you don't want that to happen, then make sure you seal the middle really well. And this is why I use the Joggles disc bound journal, because I can actually remove the page. So I work on this flat, and I never have to worry about sealing the middle with these journals. Another common mistake that people do is that they use a journal that have very thin pages. And that is a really important thing to emphasize. If you're just drawing or using pencil crayons or markers, then that's not a problem. But as soon as you're using things that are a little bit thicker, things are going to leak through. Even with this one that is super thick, it didn't leak through the page, but it actually leaked from underneath. But that's okay, that's a different story. But if it's a really thin page, it will actually rip the page. So you have to make sure that when you're choosing a journal, you're choosing something that has thick pages, like thick mixed media pages or watercolor pages, and that will not ruin the paper. Another common misconception is that people think that art journaling books are only for art journals and just to make these beautiful pages and not testing products. Well, I emphasize this a lot. It is really important to know that art journal pages are for testing products, and you don't have to do it this way where you're testing different products. That's not what I mean. Usually what I mean by testing products is actually going like what I did here, and I actually have this on a different page as well that I covered. So for example, you could have this page that I tested, something I tested a different color, or I sprayed something on it, and then I cover this and I create a design or make a face here. And you not only experimented and you try different products, but you actually end up making an art journal page out of it. I know there's certain people that, I think it's Dina, Wakley, Jane Davenport, I think a few of them, they actually work on many journals at once, and they have them all spread out, and they add something on this page, then they go away, then they add something on another page somewhere else, and then they go away, and then they come back and they add a face to it. So it's basically, they don't work on one art journaling page at once. They just work on many different times. Now, I have a hard time doing that. I like working with it all at once, but I'd love to experiment with that and see how that goes. I just find it that I need to go from beginning to end with one of my art journal pages, but that's not really the case. You should experiment and you should try out different products and then come back and try more products on top of it and so forth. The next one, and this is number 9, mistake people don't realize is that art journals are your trial and error canvases. So for example, you try out your mistakes here. So when you actually create a project on a big canvas, you already know how the products are going to react with each other, how things are going to look. This is basically your school, your learning, and the canvas is your final product. But you can't get to the final product without going through the journey of learning how to use the product. So the art journal is a perfect place that you can test these products, test different things. Like for example, I just dripped some paint on this one. So you can test everything, and then what you do is that if you don't like it, you can just turn the pages, start a new page again. But it doesn't cost you a lot of money to ruin a canvas when you just have this art journal to test on. So it's basically like the base, the first step, and it will save you a lot of money and also a lot of mistake making and prepare you for the bigger art canvas. The last one, and I think this is the most important one, and this is not only for art journaling but basically for everyone. The most common mistake that people make is that they think art journaling has to be perfect. And let me emphasize this over and over again, because I say this for everything, for mixed media, for art journaling, for art, for anything. Art journaling is just an expression of who you are, of what you're feeling, of what you're expressing at that time. Art journaling is part of your soul. And it doesn't have to be perfect because we are not perfect. So why should art journaling be perfect? Art journaling just has to be how you like it. No matter how it turns out, even if it rips, even if it seeps through, even if you forget to do something, even if it's just pretty, ugly, amazing, wonderful, stressful, whatever the feeling is, it is okay because it's part of you and you created it. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's perfectly imperfect. Thank you so much, everyone. If you liked my video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends on social media. If you have any comments or any information that you want to add or share with me, please leave it in the comment area, and please press the little bell button right beside my name so that way you get notified every time I have a video come up. Thank you so much, everyone, and I really appreciate all your love and support. Bye!